כי לנו, לנו, לנו ארץ זו.
My father and my uncle were born and grew up in Germany. My grandfather was by profession a baker and started a bakery which became a very successful bakery in a city called Chemnitz. He had 4 bakeries and coffee houses. When the Nazis came to power, slowly he had to sell those and leave Germany. After Kristallnacht, my father left Germany and got to England and took over an activity which Teddy Kollek performed before that, which was to coordinate youth aliyah from Europe to Israel, Palestine at the time, until the beginning of Second World War, when he left England and via France and Lebanon came to Palestine and settled in Haifa. And he and my mother, together with 2 other couples, started a cafe called Cafe Jordania, which was very popular, especially by the officers of the British Navy. Some of the English officers approached my father if he could help them to become a supplier of different needs they had, like uniforms, like food, and all kinds of soft supplies they needed for the Admiralty. He did that during the whole Second World War until 1945. My grandparents and some of his younger brother
left Germany after the Crystal Night, and they left for Belgium. But less than a year afterwards, the war broke out and they had to flee Belgium as well. Then they managed to get to France and drove through France to Spain. In Spain, my father was held up in a prisoner of war camp for most of the war. He was released only in 1944 and went to Palestine, where his brother Ksil, or Yekutiel, was already quite well established.
And they start to work together. In 1946, he finds out that there is a small pension on the beach of Tel Aviv called Ketedan, which during the war was the officers' club of the British Air Force. And the owner, a lady by the name of Ketedanovich, did not have the money to renovate. And she was looking for somebody to take over the hotel and put in the money to renovate it. And then at that time, my father and my uncle lease the hotel from this lady, and later they buy it from her. That's how basically the Dan Hotel starts. In 1947, when the hotel opens under our management and our ownership later, it becomes a very popular destination for the heads of the state's information. The Sochnut, Ben Gurion, Golda Meir, Moshe Sharet, and others used to come a lot to the hotel. There were many meetings in the hotel, and they very much liked to be around. After 1949, they decided that they would build next to the Ketedan a modern new hotel. The idea which drove my father's vision was that after the state was formed, many Jews, but not only Jews, from abroad would like to come to Israel to see this wonder of the new Jewish land.
Obviously, he was very right, but Israel at the time had a very socialistic government and spirit. And an elegant, flashy, luxury hotel did not go down very well with the spirit at the time.
At the time, this was considered super luxury because it was something unknown in Israel. It was a very, very modern, high-class hotel, colored bathroom, telephone near the bed, modern elevators, modern kitchens, modern restaurants, things which were not so known in Israel at the beginning of the 50s. But slowly they got used to the idea, and all the head of the government became very esteemed guest of the Dan Tel Aviv and liked very much being here. But during the 50s, this was the only really top-class hotel.
Afterwards, other hotels were being built in Israel. One of them, the Arcadia Hotel, was built on the shore of Herzliya. Besides the hotel, there was almost nothing else there. There were dunes. The hotel was set on a very nice beach, but there was nothing around it. The hotel suffered from very low occupancy, and after a year, the People who invested and built it closed it. And we were asked by the Ministry of Finance at the time, Pinchas Sapir, to save him because he actually got them into this investment.
When they bought the Arcadia, soon after we bought it, we built a swimming pool and a series of very nice rooms overlooking the swimming pool. The hotel's future and activity improved a lot. At that time, such a big swimming pool was quite unusual, and it became like a club where people met on Friday afternoons and Shabbat and got together, and it became a real attraction.
The King David Hotel was built in the 1930s of the 20th century by a group of very prominent Jewish Egyptian families. Since Jerusalem, during the British Mandate, was quite an important center of government, the British set up the civil government of Palestine in the King David Hotel, and thus the hotel became a target for the Irgun.
The Etzel blew up that part which was occupied by the British, and 1/3 of the hotel collapsed. After the War of Independence in 1948, the government took over part of the shares of the Palestine Hotel Company owning the King David. And in 1957, 1958, my father found a way to buy those outside of Israel and also later to buy from the government. And that's how slowly we became majority shareholders of the King David.
In 1966, we decided to add 2 floors. This was quite astonishing because eventually it turned out to be very visionary. Because in 1967, the Six-Day War broke out, and within 6 days, Jerusalem, from becoming a divided city, of which our part, the western part, was the less interesting one, because all the important sites were on the east. The city was united, and Jerusalem became a city which was the most desirable destination.
From the very first day, it was the best hotel in Jerusalem. It became the official residence of all the official guests of the State of Israel.
It's not official, but it's by far the preferred hotel by presidents, royalty. Whoever visits Jerusalem, the first choice is the King David Hotel.
When Sadat came to Israel, the King David became his official residence.
All of a sudden, the leader of that country enters the doors of the hotel, and you just can't believe that this is reality. And that was a very significant event in the life of the country and history of the hotel.
I was born in Haifa, we grew up in Haifa, and my father liked Haifa very much. And after having a hotel in Tel Aviv and Herzliya in Jerusalem, he felt we ought to build a hotel in Haifa. And we bought a very beautiful plot of land overlooking the bay and built a very, very nice hotel, the Dan Carmel, which until today is the best hotel in the north of Israel. Dan Kesaria was built more or less at the same time as the Dan Carmel by Edmond de Rothschild, the Rothschild family, who owned most of the land in Caesarea. And Edmond de Rothschild felt that this must be a very good idea to build a luxury hotel next to the golf course, and that many people will come and stay at the hotel and play golf in Caesarea. And somehow it didn't work. And after he tried all kinds of solutions, he decided that it would be a good idea to give it over to us for management. And what we did, we basically merged the Dan Caesarea into the Dan Hotels, and the Rothschild family became shareholders in the Dan Hotels Corporation. And after a few years, they decided they wanted to sell those shares, and we bought them out. We bought it by the end of 1973, and then the Yom Kippur War started in October of 1973. We opened it only in 1974. It took us time to improve the business side of the hotel. We're doing quite well. We're going to renovate the hotel completely next year.
At the beginning of the 80s, we started building the Panorama Center in Haifa, which consists of a residential tower, a hotel tower, and a small or medium-sized shopping mall. For the first time, we were faced with a situation where we have 2 hotels in one city, and we had to differentiate between them and actually brand them differently. we decided to name it Dan Panorama because Panorama was the original name also of a small hotel that was in the same position, but also of the street that has the view of the bay. At the same time, an opportunity came up in Tel Aviv to buy a hotel which kept changing a flag or a name. And in 1986, we bought it and we decided to develop the Dan Panorama brand, and we named it Dan Panorama. So the level of the Dan Panorama in Tel Aviv and Haifa were quite similar as compared to the Dan Tel Aviv and the Dan Carmel, which had bigger rooms and more extensive public areas. And then we added another hotel in Jerusalem and named it Dan Panorama too. So today we have almost in every city that we operate a classic Dan and a Dan Panorama, which is more affordable than the classic Dan. In the 1980s, I served as general manager of the Dan Hotels. And at that time, we bought the plot of land on the northern beach of Eilat. And we created a very unique hotel. We opened not before we had a fire and an earthquake, but eventually we opened the hotel, which was a very successful and popular hotel in our chain, and still today, 20 years later, is very much loved by Israelis and tourists as one. The hotels we opened over the last 2 years signify a change from the hotels that we had until now. First of all, hotel in India outside Israel is the first hotel in Israel in many years.
The Dan Hotel in Bangalore is really one of our latest additions to the portfolio of brands that we have in the company. Situated industrial park full of technology companies, Bangalore and Whitefield is the Silicon Valley of India. It is a 226-bedroom hotel, 5-star international hotel. You won't find any more luxurious property in Bangalore. It has all the facilities that you'd imagine a 5-star hotel would have, including F&B outlets, food and beverage outlets, a restaurant at the top of the hotel called Laila, which is kind of the Israeli twist to the hotel. Having come back from the opening just a few weeks ago, it was received very, very well by the local Indians because it had the Indian flair connected to the Mediterranean, and in that Mediterranean you have some of the Israeli elements in there: eggplant, hummus, pitot. So you've got several of the Israeli kind of features in there, but it's nicely hidden inside the menus. There's a saying, the world is your oyster, and I think that this is our first foray outside of Israel, first trial with a sub-brand. So our brands between the King David and the Dan Panorama, Dan Boutique, and the Link Hotel and Hub that we just opened as well.
The opening of the Link signifies, I would say, a new chapter in the development of the Dan hotels, because it's the first time that we go for a very different type of hotel, one that is targeted at the younger generation of the travelers who have completely different set of priorities and needs than the previous generations. Whether it's in a location, nowadays the young generation want to be in the city. They don't care so much for the view. They give up a lot of private space for the benefit of the common space. There's a lot of the atmosphere and the ambience of hostels that is now adopted in the common areas of hotels. If you compare to a regular hotel where you can walk into the elevator and not talk to someone all the way up to the 60th floor, in the Link, hopefully when you walk into the elevator, by the time you get to the second floor, you'll be friends already with someone in the elevator. The design has to reflect simplicity, so that a person doesn't feel that he's paying for design or for unnecessary luxuries, but also joy and happiness, colors and light, because we are in a Mediterranean country. I believe that things have to be well lit up, and I think that fits Tel Aviv and Israel more than a darker atmosphere of urban hotels. Really, many things are done very differently today than they were done in the past, and gave us an opportunity to learn and understand the new generation better. I think both brands benefit each other. An old company has a new brand that gives it energy and life. On the other hand, The link benefits from the dignity and the respect and the experience and the efficiency of the Dan Hotel chain. So I think both feed each other.
It's an incredible company to work for when you think about 71 years as a family business with family very involved. It has one of the most special cultures that I've seen. You rarely find the combination of professionalism and a family-orientated business that everybody feels so connected to and attached. And it's just a wonderful position to be in, to be able to be given the privilege to lead this organization for the coming years. I feel very honored.